Reflections on the Good News of Jesus Christ for the fourth Sunday of Easter from the Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one can take them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one can take them out of the Father's hand. The Father and I are one." The good news of the Lord. Learning to listen can be life-changing. Consider this story. During the Great Depression, 1929 to 1939 in the United States, jobs were extremely scarce. The unemployment rate was at 25%. By way of comparison, the current rate is 4.2%. Whenever a job opening was announced, great numbers of people turned out to apply. Such was the case when it was announced that there was an opening for a telegraph operator. A large crowd of people converged on the telegraph office, eager for the job. Some of you parents may have to explain a telegraph to the younger generation. The applicants filled the outer room, milling around, talking with each other, almost drowning out the sound of the telegraph. The door opened to admit yet another applicant. He stepped into the crowded room, listened for a moment, then went to the door to the inner office and knocked. The door opened, and out came the office manager, who announced to the crowd that they could all go home. This last arrival had been hired. The crowd couldn't understand why he was chosen and didn't like it. Then the office manager said, "Listen." The crowd grew quite still until all that could be heard was the telegraph wire, repeatedly tapping out the following message. "If you hear this message, knock on the door and the job is yours." True story. A minute ago, we heard another story about listening. The Good Shepherd tells us, "My sheep hear my voice." Now, first, if you've ever spent any time around sheep, you may know that they are not exactly the brightest creatures God ever created, prone to running off and getting lost, then eating the wrong things and getting sick. A real pain. And their fragrance is not to be missed. So, being called a sheep by Jesus or anyone is no great compliment. But did you hear his voice just now in this gospel? Of course, in order to do so, today or any day, you must make time for the quiet moments, because Jesus whispers, and the world is very loud. And finding quiet moments in the hectic and noisy pace of daily life may not be easy to do. It requires making choices about what you are willing to listen to and what you decide not to listen to. What voices do you hear in your daily coming and going? There are all kinds of voices who call out every day, hoping you will listen. Your spouse, your children and other family members, friends and fellow workers. The endless emails and text messages that demand your attention. And then there are the voices urging you to buy this gizmo or that gadget, back this cause, support that issue. So many voices, So much volume that not being able to hear yourself think is a daily, if not hourly, phenomenon. Listen to these words from a writer in the Boston Globe, reflecting on experiences, some of which you may have had, during the years of COVID-19. What would the world be like if the things that have become so important to us during those years remained so? How would our lives look if our values and priorities were frozen right there? If we were always as kind to each other and as worried about the world as we were then? We would do just about everything differently. We would pay teachers, blessings be upon them, as much as hedge funders. Our hands would always be so clean we could eat off them. We would have more respect and money for low-wage workers who deliver our basic needs, grocery store clerks and others who work to bring food to our tables, drivers who keep bringing packages to the doors of the luckiest among us, trash haulers and maintenance workers and janitors and others who put themselves at risk to protect us. We would really see the folks who work in restaurants, most of them for lousy money, and insist that they earn wages that match their dignity. We would leave bigger tips. We would spend less money on things that serve no purpose except to signal status, care less about impressing strangers, make more of what we have last. We would waste less, period. We would spend more time with our family and friends, and be more keenly aware of our massive good fortune to have them, especially the older ones. We would hug longer and linger in each other's presence. We would love our neighbor. Yep, even that one. We would work together to make those who are alone feel less so. We would be more grateful for all we have and more outraged at what others do not. We would be happier now if we remember. Did any of those ideas sound as though they could have been spoken by the Good Shepherd? The image of a Good Shepherd is, for us, the image of a person who cares. He is not like the one who has no concern. He takes the time to get to know others. She cares so much that she will even give her life for others. Now, given the innate stupidity of sheep, shepherding is hard work. The people of Jesus' time were quite familiar with sheep and shepherds, and the absolute necessity of a dedicated shepherd, not a hired hand, if the sheep were even to survive, much less thrive. People would recognize the images Jesus used: the one shepherd each night who would use his own body as the gate to the corral so that no sheep could leave nor any thief enter without literally going through him. The way sheep became so accustomed to following the voice of their own shepherd that they would ignore any other voice. They may not be the brightest of God's creatures, but at least sheep know to whom they must listen. To whom do you listen? Given all the voices vying for your attention, to whom are you willing or even able to listen? My sheep hear my voice. By happy coincidence, this weekend we also celebrate Mother's Day. The vocation of motherhood is very much an extension of the vocation of the Good Shepherd. In their total and complete love for their children, moms and dads are the hand of God leading us through the rocky roads of life and catching us when we fall. In the wisdom of their experience and in their constant and patient support, they are the voice of the Good Shepherd calling us to the safety and forgiveness of home. Christ speaks in many voices, including our own. We can be the voice of Christ's compassion, comfort, forgiveness, and peace in even our smallest and simplest words and acts of kindness and generosity. Today, we may give thanks for our mothers who are, or were, the very voice of the Good Shepherd in our lives, assuring us with hope, mending our brokenness, be it our limbs or our hearts, loving us unconditionally and completely, as God assures and heals and loves us from the first moments of our lives. We belong to churches populated by caring individuals who give their lives for others. Priests and nuns martyred in El Salvador, missionaries struggling in the remotest parts of the world, peace activists and climate activists challenging the consciences of nations, people caring lovingly for the sick and dying, people whose participation in their church, synagogue, mosque, or community helps make them vibrant, welcoming places. What would happen if all of us cared, really cared about our brothers and sisters who are hungry, homeless, helpless, or mistreated, those who are victimized, suffering, or unemployed, those who find themselves impoverished, threatened, rejected? What would happen if all of us tried even a bit more to become good shepherds and truly care for one another? It would call for a lot of listening as well as being listened to. In every liturgy, we celebrate the presence of Christ, and we do so because we could not be Christians without this. COVID-19 emphasized how essential the real presence of each of us is to the other. Because without that presence, we could not be human. Our gospel today calls us to reflect on the beauty, the importance, and the life-giving gift that being present to one another, being a good shepherd, can be for all of us. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to pass this on to someone else. And as always, you are most welcome to subscribe to this weekly reflection by going to our website, www.justanother.disciple.com. Once again, www.justanother.disciple.com. Thanks again.